circle with no beginning and never ending. Good morning, everyone. And welcome to your neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Susanne, and I bring you the life of our community. Tax receipts and gifts in kinds have been sent out. If you have not received yours yet, write to our office administrator, Hala, at office@nuuc.ca, and she will get one to you. Thank you to everyone for all of your 2024 donations. Potluck groups, we still need a few more people to host a potluck meal at your home for members and friends. Sign-up sheets are under the screen in the cappuccino room. Whether you offer to be a host or a participant, you can sign up, and then we each get to meet and mingle outside of Sunday mornings. You can email Moira or talk to her or sign up this morning. Today after service, there is a C committee meeting. C stands for Social and Environmental Action. I believe that is happening here in the sanctuary. You can speak to Laura, who I saw somewhere. Hi Laura, who will be chairing, and bring your ideas of how neighborhood can get involved in social and environmental action.
And we'll have pizza for those who are attending.
Yeah, if you're staying, there's food. This afternoon also is this month's monthly circle music session from 3 to 5 here in the sanctuary. That's co-facilitated by Jane Lewis and myself. Circle music is a chance to improvise, and it's not singing songs, it's singing improvised circle songs, actually in the style of Bobby McFerrin and Rhiannon. All are welcome, no matter of your musical experience or background. And you can talk to me after service to learn more if you'd like. Stitch to Enrich is this Wednesday from 12 to 3:30. Stitch to Enrich is our bi-weekly crafternoon session. So come in and make your things that you make in community with other friends from neighborhood and beyond. Update from our transitions team. Did you see our first communique from February 21st? Do you have questions about ministerial transitions at NUC and welcoming our new minister, Sally Fritchie? If so, there is an email, transitions@nuuc.ca. And a request from the transitions team is Rev Sally and her wife Maya are looking for long-term housing, a home without other occupants, within 1 hour transit of neighborhoods starting May 1st. Do you have any leads? Do you know any places where they might be able to live? If so, please contact transitions@nuuc.ca. There is an all-ages intergen movie night happening this Saturday here in Rafos Hall. Julia, hi Julia. And I are presenting Flow. Flow was the winner of this year's Animated Film of the Year Oscar. We'll be screening it here. You can bring anyone you want. You want to say something?
Yeah, so we have...
You need the mic, friend.
I'm grateful to
No.
Lauren.
Here you go.
Lauren printed a bunch of these flyers and posters out for you. So they're going to be in the cappuccino room, and hopefully between now and then I'll be able to write Flow on all of them. And yeah, take one for yourselves, family, friends, distribute them as you like, and it should be fun. Thank you.
Thanks. I can't wait to see it personally. Hope to see you all there. Does Canada deserve Trump? A thought-provoking discussion with Michael Adams is happening here in our space as a part of the speaker series of the Danforth Multi-Faith Commons. That's on March 26th at 7 p.m. All are welcome to come and find out the answer to that question. The Active Hope small group is running a second session. The first session was so popular that they have run 2 sessions. So the next one is starting April 16th and running to June 25th. That's 7 Wednesday evenings. You need to sign up in the cappuccino room because there is a meeting that you have to do with the facilitators of the group before the group starts. So there's 10 spots available. You can find more information underneath the screen in the cap room. Sacred Circle Dancing is happening Saturday, March 22nd in the morning downstairs in the Herndale room. Come join the monthly dance facilitated by Toronto Sacred Circle dancers. Simple repetitive steps are taught and danced in a circle to music. Together, we enter a space of meditation and joy, a moving prayer. No experience necessary. Bring an extra pair of shoes, indoor shoes, to dance in to protect the floors. For more info, you can speak to Moira. And next week, we continue exploring our theme of love at the center with interdependence, with a message called Stronger Together, the Power of Interdependence and Community. Our speaker will be Kevin Pook, music by our own spirit band. Our service weaver will be Gordon Thorne, and time for all ages with Tab and Ta.
Thank you, Susanne. And I want to welcome everyone here to our neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation service. We welcome you whether you're here in person or joining us on Zoom. Good morning. Yeah. In the invitation to service that went out on Friday via email, there was included a link to the Thanksgiving address. The Thanksgiving address is the central prayer and invocation for the Haudenosaunee, also known as the Iroquois Confederacy or Six Nations, made up of the Mohawk, Oneida, Cayuga, Onondaga, Seneca, and Tuscarora. It reflects their relationship of giving thanks for life and the world around them. The Haudenosaunee open and close every social and religious meeting with the Thanksgiving address. It is also said as a daily sunrise prayer and is an ancient message of peace and appreciation of Mother Earth and its inhabitants and her inhabitants. The children learn that according to Native American traditions, people everywhere are embraced as family. Our diversity, like all wonders of nature, is truly a gift for which we are thankful. If you haven't already, please find a time to read and reflect on its words and meaning. When one recites the Thanksgiving address, the natural world is thanked, and in thanking each life-sustaining force, one becomes spiritually tied to each of the forces of the natural and spiritual world. The Thanksgiving address teaches mutual respect, conservation, love, generosity, and the responsibility to understand what is done to one part of the web of life we do to ourselves. Let us be thankful for this land upon which we live, work, learn, gather, and play, and for all of its inhabitants with whom we are interdependent. As our 7th UU principle reminds us, we are part of the interconnected web of life, of existence. My name is Allison Kabayama, and I will be your service weaver this morning. We start today's service by creating a sacred space. To help us all stay undistracted in sacred space, maybe take a moment now and silence your phone or other electronic device. I invite you to join me in reading our invocation. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here, a space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life, a life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life, spirit, for ourselves and our families. This morning, the chalice will be lit by Aestus Rogers. Instead of lighting it anew, we are taking the light from the children's flame and then passing it to our own chalice. In this way, may we be inspired to keep the children's fire alive in our hearts. We have a chalice lighting song. I'd light the chalice. Chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own hearts. Aces, would you like to call in the directions?
Please join me in addressing the East. Guardians of the East, spirits of air, we welcome you into this space. You are the first light of morning. You are our breath and inspiration. Bless this rite today. Be welcome and blessed be. Please join me in addressing the North, South. Spirits of the South, guardians of the fire, you are the heat of the sun at high noon. You are our passions and our desires. Join us in our rite today and bless the work we do. Welcome and blessed be. Please join me in addressing the West. Spirits of the West, guardians of the water, you are the cool, refreshing waters at sunset, the dusk. You are our emotions. Join us in our circle and bless this rite. Welcome and blessed be. And to the north, spirits of the north, guardians of earth, you are our foundation. You are our midnight, our cool darkness. You are our bodies, firm and strong. Join us in this rite and bless this work. Welcome and blessed be.
For our prelude this morning, I invite Olga Kraleva to join me here at the piano for a piano duet. And I'll be lifting up our Unitarian Universalist composer, Edvard Grieg from Norway. Grieg wrote this piece called Morning Mood, depicting the rising of the sun in Peer Gynt as Per is stranded in the Moroccan desert. I also just wanted to lift up about Edvard that he was the first kind of high art composer to start really bringing forward the folk songs of his country. So he went out into the communities and was collecting folk songs and then using those tunes in his own pieces. And this inspired another Unitarian composer, Bela Bartok from Hungary, to do the same thing with Hungarian folk music. The high art, low art divide. Anyways, Morning Mood.
So, thank you for that beautiful gift, Susanne and Olga. I could wake up to that. Hear all the stirrings and life in there. Thank you. And now we continue in sacred space. We thank all the many staff and volunteers who made this service possible in this gathering. We're open to many beliefs and we learn from many traditions. We welcome all people who are looking for a spiritual community. If you're visiting us in person for the first time, we welcome you and we encourage you to stay for coffee time. There's a red mug if you'd like to take one. It's a signal that lets us know you're interested in talking, finding out about neighborhood, and for us to find out about you. Our services can vary from week to week, so we encourage you to sample several to get a better feel for who we are and what we're doing here together. The minister's office, I believe, will be open after service for those of you who want a quieter space to talk. The cappuccino room can be quite lively. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. The theme for today is Earth-centered, and our theme for the 6-week period is interdependence. One difference to note for today is that in place of joys and concerns, we will be doing another ritual which will be open to everyone. For 5 years, my family lived in the Mohawk community of Oka, or Kanasatake, from 1953 to 1958. My mother, Joan Kabayama, taught in their one-room schoolhouse. During this time and afterward, my mother wrote her master's thesis on the dismal efforts and conditions that ensured lower academic outcomes and achievement despite the innate intelligence of Indian children she taught. Her thesis was entitled Educational Retardation Among Non-Roman Catholic Indians at Oka. My eldest sister, Mackie, learned in the schoolhouse alongside all the other children, and my elder sister, Noreen, was born during this time as well. There were many divisions within the band, and some of that continues today. There were the elected chiefs who were the Roman Catholics, who worked with the federal government, as opposed to the hereditary chiefs, like Chief Lazarus Jacob. There were several Christian-influenced groups, and also one smaller group that practiced longhouse tradition, and amongst other things, honored the 3 sisters, which were corn, squash, and beans, as sacred. And here we came, an odd interracial family, a white woman, a Japanese man, and the teacher's daughter. In speaking with my eldest sister, Mackie, or Atanonia, which is known, it's the Mohawk name that was bestowed upon her by Grandpa Jacob, or Dutta, as we called him. She confirmed my experience that all the children and their families seemed to unconditionally love us and welcome us and absorbed our little family into their community. Family was central, and we were embraced and deeply connected as per their custom. I remember there was always room at the dinner table. Even after we moved in 1958, we maintained our close family relations with regular visits to Oka, and later with their annual visits to see my mother in Ottawa. We were so honored when our aunts, our Matant Gladys and Matant Jessie, and Uncle Glenn traveled in 2017 to attend my mother's funeral. Our familial relationship is maintained to this day. I inherited this necklace from my mother, who was gifted it by our Mohawk cousins. And I am thankful for the tangible reminder of their genuine generosity, love, and fulsome inclusiveness. It is also a symbol of allyship. In the words from the opening of the Thanksgiving address, prayer, excerpted here, today we have gathered and we see that the cycles of life continue. We have been given the duty and responsibility to live in the balance and harmony with each other and all living things. So now we bring our minds together as one as we give our greetings and our thanks to one another as people. Now our minds are one. It's time to greet your neighbor. After you've greeted a few neighbors here, perhaps you can turn to the camera at the back and offer a greeting to those joining us.
Ani, so the song that we're going to sing is called the Welcome Song. And this song is sung at gatherings. It's a Mi'kmaq song, and the elder is Maggie Paul. If you looked her up on YouTube, you can hear her singing this song and many other songs. And this is going to welcome the spirit and all those ones that walk with us and the beings of the land. Allison's going to join me. Hey, Gwanda de, hey, Gwanda de, hey, Gwanda de, hey, Youngio, Youngio, hey, Youngio,
Hey, Gwanda de,
hey, Gwanda de, hey, Gwanda de, hey, Youngio, Youngio, hey, Youngio, hey, Gwanda de, hey, Gwanda de, hey, Gwanda de, hey, Youngio, Youngio, hey, Youngio,
hey, Gwanda de,
hey, Gwanda de, hey, Gwanda de, hey, Youngio, Youngio, hey, Youngio.
Hello, everybody. I'm Julia, and this is the time for all ages. This is really nice. This is very inspirational. You can see your glowing faces and everybody else. So I have a story for you, and it's called The Healing Tea. And while I was writing it, I thought I really wanted to include some of the beautiful wisdom of the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address in my story. But I wondered if I would be able to do this. So I looked, and these are the words of Chief Oren Lyons, traditional faith keeper of the Turtle Clan. He says, "Of course it's supposed to be shared. Otherwise, how can it work? We've been waiting for 500 years for people to listen. If they'd understood the Thanksgiving then, we wouldn't be in this mess." So thank you. I'm very grateful to the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address for this story, to help me with this story. So here is the healing tea. Winter had worked hard to keep the cold winds blowing and the snow falling, but now it was time to take a rest. But spring was not coming. And Mother Earth's daughter was very worried about her. Something was very wrong with her. What is up with you, Earth Mother? Her daughter said. "You're not yourself. What can I do?" Well, I fear that the humans are not living in harmony and balance with each other. And this makes me grow weaker, said Mother Earth. I feel as though the fire inside me is dwindling and my energy as well. What can I do, said her daughter. You must go upon the land and gather things from the earth to make a healing tea for me, replied her mother. But it's winter. Everything is frozen. How can I find anything? There are gifts to be found from the earth, said her mother, and it gets harder and harder each year to find them, but you must look for them as I have taught you. So the girl, heaving a big sigh, took her cloak and took her bucket and set out onto the wintry land. Her first thought was to find some water, and she walked until she came to a stream, but it was all frozen solid. And then she remembered her mother's words, water is life. It gives us energy, and it can come in many different forms. So she thought, well, I guess snow and ice would work. So she gathered some into her bucket, and thanking water, she went on her way. After a while, she came to a grove of maples, and she noticed that a small piece of wood had been stuck into the trunk of one of the trees. And her mother's words, and also from that there was a fine trickle of sap running down. And her mother's words came back to her that the maple, with its gift of sugar, is the leader of the trees. So she added a bit of sap to her bucket and went on her way. Sometime later, she stopped for a rest, and she noticed growing nearby her was a beautiful white pine tree. And she remembered something about her mother saying that the pine was the leader, it was the peace tree, it was the leader of trees, and its needles were like medicine. So she plucked a cluster of the 5 pine needles and she added it to her bucket and thanked the white pine. Now, I just wanted to show you something. Pause story for a minute. So the white pine grows in clusters of 5 needles. And these 5 needles, W-H-I-T-E, that's how I remember too that it's white. The white pine, it represents the 5 Iroquois, the 5 Iroquois nations, and this was decided by the peacemaker, and it represents the interdependence of these 5 nations working together. So the girl continued on her way. And then a little while later, she noticed something. It was something among the snow, and it was red. And as she drew nearer, she realized that it was a strawberry, probably one of the first strawberries. And the strawberries are the first berries to grow, even when there's still snow around. And she remembered her mother telling her that the strawberry can take away sickness, and they're always ready and waiting to help us. So she tenderly gathered up the strawberry and placed it into her bucket with the other things. But suddenly she noticed that it had started to grow dark. And she shivered and tucked her cloak around her and looked around. And it was so dark, she didn't know how she was going to find her way home. But just then, her grandmother, the moon, appeared and lit up the night sky. And her grandmother moon is the leader of women all over the world. And the stars appeared like a trail of jewels in the sky. And together they and her grandmother moon guided her all the way home. And when she arrived home, the first thing she did was take a kettle and boil it, and she added all the gifts from the earth for the healing tea. And then she let it steep, and then she gave it to Earth Mother. And as Earth Mother sipped that healing tea, she could feel this warmth flooding through every part of her. And her energy returned, and she set about giving light and life and warmth to all the beings, and spring had returned. And now it was time for winter to go and take a rest. But Mother Earth still felt uneasy, and she hoped that she would be able to continue to support all those who lived upon the earth the way she always had since the beginning of time. Thank you.
Invite Peter to come forward with our first part of our message of inspiration this morning.
Good morning to all of you. Today, Kim and I have the pleasure of sharing some of our knowledge, thoughts, and experiences around Earth-centered spirituality. That's a term that encompasses indigenous spirituality across Turtle Island, the Americas, Africa, Australia, Southeast Asia, Pacific Islands, and Siberia. So all I say will be generalizations that may generally be true but aren't universally true. I remember how I thought when I was much younger. These are just primitive ideas that people had before we discovered science, but they're now outmoded. So I want to start by quoting anthropologist Wade Davis again. The world in which you were born is just one model of reality. Other cultures are not failed attempts at being you. They are unique manifestations of the human spirit. Other cultures are not failed attempts at being you. These earth-centered religions share many elements. They share orality. Stories are passed and shared orally through generations. They're embedded in the places out of which they grew, not by having sacred sites, but by being embedded in the geography itself. Time is atemporal. Western religions tend to be messianic. Jesus will come, the day of judgment will come, the apocalypse will come, and then it's all over. So it's a story with one end. Eastern religions tend to be cyclical, both in terms of reincarnation and in terms of the cycle of time ending and restarting again. But earth-centered spirituality has a creation, and there are many creation stories, but no ending. So that renewal ceremonies, like the sun dance and the Thanksgiving prayer, are essential to keep the world going. The key element in these religions is the worldview that the paths uphold. It's essential in all of these traditions to remain in community because we are dependent on each other. There is less division between humans and non-humans, between humans and animals, plants, inanimate objects. There's no separation. When I first started doing sweat lodges, I was told, as I gathered the rocks for the sweat lodge, to ask the rocks if they were willing to take part in the sweat lodge ceremony. And I have to admit, this seemed really silly to me to be asking the rocks these questions. After I learned how to listen to the rocks and hear what they were saying, it began to make more sense. Another key element in this worldview is that the whole of life is religion. There's no separation between how you're living day to day and your religion. It's all one. And there is little to no focus on salvation because all things hold divine energy within them. Most of these paths have shamans, people who are skilled at reaching spirit and will help other people to reach spirit. Here's a lovely slide showing the relationship between traditional knowledge and Western science and the overlap between them. I'll be sending this out in the Monday mailing because there's a lot of data on it. But on the left is traditional knowledge, on the right is Western science, in the center is common ground, divided into the organizing principles, habits of mind, skills and practices, and knowledge of each. So for example, both ways of knowing share under habits of mind, honesty, inquisitiveness, perseverance, and open-mindedness. But traditional knowledge and traditional religions add trust for inherited wisdom and respect for all things, while Western science emphasizes skepticism. My personal journey started absolutely on the Western science side of the slide. As I said, I not only believed in science as the way to know the world, something I still believe, but I believed it was the only way to know the world, something I no longer believe. I found that my 21 years of following an earth-centered path, the twisted hairs and intertribal shamanic tradition, helped me to reach truths about myself and the world that rational thought wasn't helping me to lead. I found it helped me to become a happier person than I had been, which seemed a good thing. I don't think it's advisable to say that any religion is true or not. That just leads us to a yes it is, no it isn't sort of argument that goes nowhere and alienates people. I think it's fair to say that all religions are useful to their adherents, otherwise the people wouldn't be following them. That's why they're followed and survive. Talking to their followers and learning why they're useful, you might learn what a different set of beliefs might offer you that your current beliefs don't. An example to end with. Our economic system is based on individual ownership and selfishness. But economies could instead be based on interdependence and generosity. Robin Wall Kimmerer, who wrote the quite marvelous book, Braiding Sweetgrass, said in a recent interview, "In the case of berries and soil and birds and water, in the academic world where I live, we call these things natural resources, meaning they're just objects waiting to be converted into something we will value, as opposed to intrinsically being valuable for themselves. And the language of natural resources suggests that we own them, that we deserve them. Whereas I want to remember that it's a gift. We haven't earned berries. We haven't earned the oxygen we breathe. We can't buy it. It's not a commodity. It's not a natural resource. To me, it's a gift from the natural world." And I wanted to imagine what a gift economy would look like. And here we go back to indigenous science and to indigenous knowledge, because there are wonderful antecedents to our contemporary economic models in indigenous economies. And for the most part, they're based on circular economies. They're based on a kind of biomimicry from the natural world. They're based on reciprocity. The currency of an economy is not money. The currency of these gift economies is gratitude. That's how the natural world works. As Wade Davies said, other cultures are not failed attempts at being you. They're unique manifestations of the human spirit. And the model of reality that earth-centered spirituality offers us, with its passion for earth and its web for life, and its absolute grounding on the interdependence of all things is one that we need in these days to understand. Thank you. And now it's time for meditation. Center yourself. Perhaps you would choose to close your eyes, perhaps not. Listen to the sound of the drum. Feel the air surrounding you. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Let your energy and your sense of your own awareness descend down into the ground, through the foundations, through the frozen earth, into the warmer earth. Every time you go 1 kilometer further down, it gets 25 degrees warmer. So keep going down till you find yourself in a space that is warm and comfortable. Know that time is passing for us. The temperature is warming both as you go down and in the world around us. The days are lengthening. Feel all the stress and the worry that you carry with you. And envision that, like the cold, they too will pass and become what they need, what you need. Hold that feeling of not carrying stress and worry in your heart and sit in the spot you've reached in the ground with that feeling, feeling the heartbeat of the earth and the drum around you. Now start to come back. Feel yourself rising up through the earth. Return to your seats, but carrying with you that feeling that things can be different.
Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be. Come and be one, become one, be one, be.
So this is my turn to speak, and my take on this is a little different than Peter's. Peter took you on the head journey, and now I'm going to get you to breathe, center yourself, come back into your heart space, and we'll see where that goes. Enjoy this tortoise here on the screen. I asked Peter to send it. So I will say thank you to him, and as he took this image from the Galapagos Islands where he visited. And the reason this image is here is because we're in a period of chaos. We don't need to say what the chaos is, it's just all around. And I was reminded in my meditation that I don't have to be taken up in all of the world's chaos and the division, because that's all it's meant to do, is to divide us as people. And what I was reminded was to come back to the basics being the earth. And this image reminded me that the land that it's on is on Turtle Island. And from an aerial view is Turtle Island. And this whole turtle needs to function and needs to move and grow and breathe. And we can't exist without the whole, because everybody exists within it. We don't have to be caught up in everything that it's all about, but we can come back to the heart space and know that that turtle supports us. And the turtle sits, the earth in our creation stories sit on the back of the turtle. So it's important, this turtle. And the shell has 13 rings to remind us of the 13 moons and the 28 days. So it reminds us that those cyclical natures are ever present. And that we need to come back to community, and we all exist in our communities, because our communities and the people within them are the ones that hold us up. They are the ones that do the grass work. They are the ones that move us. They are the movers and the shakers. I'm going to take you on my personal journey, and this journey started back when we were gathered here at the winter solstice. It was the last time we met for an earth-based service. I don't refer to earth-based as religion. For me, it's a living, breathing ceremony that takes place on my earth walk. So it's the longest night and the shortest day, and it is a time for me to go inward. The sun pauses, and the light reaches its lowest point, and I go inward deeper. For a time, it will remind me of my spiritual growth and those things that I have stored away. They're now time for me to look at once again. The 9 hours of less light begins my wintering, and maybe I pay attention to those things I have forgotten, and my hibernation begins as well. The time for my inner reflections begin, and my journey. I notice and bring awareness to the areas of myself that I have not paid attention to, or maybe to the things that need to be released and let go. As the months move forward, so does my feelings of grief and loss become ever present. The passing of many people I know, the elders within our community, the knowledge keepers that have passed, and the many overdoses. It was a time to release the loss and the grief from old wounds. As the weeks gain, so did my grief take hold, like the bleakness of winter. I reach for my spiritual tools, such as my water altar, my smudge, my crystals, my prayers, my drumming, and nothing seemed to work. So I took my grief and I took my sadness and I walked amongst the oaks, and I was reminded that they are the standing people. And I walked and sat with the willows. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something stir. But at the same time, my inner critic and all of those voices that were around that weren't helping me were also lurking. During this time, I took my grief and I took notice of the inner stirring. I went to the water's edge where the waters roll in and roll out, and I listened to the crashing waves. And as the waves crashed, my thoughts became clearer and I became grounded. The light is growing and the days are becoming longer, and the promise of spring is just around the corner. The message I received at the water's edge and amongst the trees was magic is found within me, as I am also magic. It is the very fiber that is in the earth, of which I am a part of. My altar and my spiritual tools reside within me, so therefore I don't have to hold on to them. I can access them at any time. Those feelings stir within my heart when I quiet my mind. And in my indigenous teachings of winter solstice, it is a time for rest. It is a time to share storytelling and songs with friends, family, and community. Also being Bear Clan, during this time, we no longer sing our bear songs, and we no longer use our bear medicine, as this medicine is needed for the earth as she rests underneath her snow blanket. In this time of hibernation, cubs during this time will be born, and they will emerge as the closing of winter comes soon. And I am reminded that I too come through my own rebirth. As my introspection is coming to a close, and in the final days leading to the vernal equinox, I release old habits, old patterns, and people that no longer serve and hold me up, but tear me down. I don't need to carry those things anymore, because I will be reborn in the light of the sun. And I let go all that needs to die away and give it back to the earth. The growing light and the return of the sun and my transformation that is taking place leads me to my spring. I am reborn, and I'm planting new seeds and new seeds for change. As I stand in renewal of faith and hope, the universe has restored me to balance. I sing my bear songs now, and I use my bear medicine, awaiting for the songbirds to return, of which I heard this morning as Callie and I left to come here. The shedding of myself and the shedding of my skin will still continue to take place over the next few days. And the cycles of nature I live amongst, and the seasons are cyclical, and I live in a circle. And we are all part of this ever-moving circle. And I walk on my medicine journey, on the medicine wheel, in the sacred hoop of life. Everything turns, no beginning, no ending, no one above, no one below, no one behind, and no one before. We are all in this together. I say thank you for taking you and welcoming you on my journey. Say miigwech, and it has been an honor to talk to you. And thanks for the feathers, Susanne.
So now we've come to the time for our offering. And sharing of ourselves is part of every faith and part of this community. Our volunteer efforts are essential, and rent and salaries and expenses and programs are created and paid for by your contributions, our contributions. The greeters will pass the baskets for those who choose to make contributions in this way. This congregation is a living entity, and like all things, it must have nurture and sustenance. If you contribute by pre-authorized withdrawals, we thank you. As we contribute to this community, we affirm our lives within it. And greeters, please bring the baskets to me when the collection is done.
Yesterday was International Women's Day, and I believe, as Allison believes, when we lift women up, we lift everybody up. We're going to sing a song during the offering called I'm Gonna Lift My Sister Up, written by Faya Rose Touré. She is the first Black female judge in Alabama and an advocate for women's rights. I think I'll just sing the whole thing through. I'm not going to do a call and response because it's pretty catchy, and then we'll just repeat it all together. You're welcome to stand or move or what you need to do to feel the song. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. If I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, I will fall down. Let's do that whole verse again.
I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. If I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, I will fall down.
My brother.
I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. If I don't lift him up, if I don't lift him up, if I don't lift him up, he will fall down. I'm gonna lift my sibling up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sibling up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sibling up, they are not heavy. If I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, I will fall down. I'm gonna lift my people up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my people up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my people up, they are not heavy. If I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, I will fall down.
We are all connected.
If you have found love and acceptance here, if you have found home here, if you have known kindred spirits here, let this offering be a token of gratitude for our common life as we build the common good. We have our closing song with Kim leading us.
So I just want to, this is called the Traveling Song. It's an Anishinaabe song. And the elder sung it at the big drum, and his name is Alex Keed. And the version that you see, which is the version that we're going to be singing, came from when a group of women in Alberta, Banff, gathered for a conference. And this song came out of there for the feeling of traveling. And then it became used in when we travel. So we go on vacation, we drive, we walk, we sing this song for a safe journey. But the longest journey a human being will take is from the head to the heart. And so those inward journeys, we also sing this song. And it's sung also when we leave gatherings, and it's also sung for the things that we may be in mourning of, or time of loss, and or funerals. And if you folks can stand, because this is a favorite at Neighborhood. So I'm going to sing a lead, Allison's going to sing a lead, and then Susanne, and then the drum will stop, and we will sing the last one all together. Together. Nikan and Gana for all my relations. Aho.
I invite you to sing as Aestus comes forward to extinguish our chalice and to release the spirit of the four directions.
Guardians of the North, spirits of earth, thank you for joining and blessing this rite. Farewell and blessed be.
Blessed be.
Guardians of the West, thank you for joining and blessing this rite. Spirits of water, farewell and blessed be. Guardians of the South, spirits of fire, we thank you for joining and blessing this rite. Farewell and blessed be. And guardians of the East, spirits of air, we thank you for joining and blessing this rite. Farewell and blessed be.
Today, please take your neighbor's hand or touch their shoulder or touch elbows, whatever is comfortable, connecting physically as we have spiritually. We will wait until all are connected. For the closing words and blessings, I leave you with this blessing, which is the final excerpt from the closing of the Thanksgiving address. We have now arrived at the place where we end our words. Of all the things we have named, it is not our intention to leave anything out. If something has been forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send their greetings and their thanks in their own way. So now, go in peace, and go with love.